She walked out of the ocean in a white bikini, and the world stopped. For over 60 years, Bond girls have been more than just eye candy. They've been icons, rebels, pioneers. But what happened to them after the credits rolled? Some became legends, some vanished completely, and some lived lives more dramatic than any Bond film. Let's find out. The one who started it all, that white bikini, that knife, that look. Ursula Andress didn't just play a Bond girl, she invented the role. And decades later, she's living a beautifully private life in Rome, unbothered, untouchable, and still stunning. Every single line you hear Daniela Bianchi say in this film is not her voice. She didn't speak English, so every word was dubbed by another actress, but none of that mattered. Her face told the whole story. Then, at the peak of her fame, she walked away from Hollywood entirely and disappeared into a quiet private life in Italy. Pussy galore. Still the most legendary name in Bond history, and Honor Blackman knew exactly what she was doing when she took that role. She was older than the typical Bond girl, and she didn't care. She was a pioneer. She remained a powerhouse in British television until her very last days. Miss France Claudine Auger brought something rare to Thunderball, a dark, almost dangerous beauty that felt genuinely mysterious. Fans consistently rank her as one of the best in the entire franchise. This one comes with a secret. Akiko Wakabayashi was not supposed to play the role you see on screen. Last minute, the roles were swapped, and it changed Bond history forever, and she performed every single stunt herself. No double, no safety net, just pure commitment. The only woman who ever truly broke James Bond. Rigg didn't just play a Bond girl, she played the Bond girl, the one he married, the one he lost, and decades later, a whole new generation fell in love with her all over again as the razor-sharp Olenna Tyrell in Game of Thrones. Two iconic roles, one extraordinary woman. The first American Bond girl, sassy, sharp, and modern. She brought an energy the series had never seen before, and today, she's left Hollywood behind for a completely different passion. She's a celebrated culinary expert with multiple successful cookbooks, from spy to chef. Jane Seymour was only 22 years old when she stepped into the role of Solitaire, a psychic who loses her powers the moment she loses her innocence, and delivered something unforgettable. Fast forward to today, and she looks like she genuinely found the fountain of youth. The ultimate it girl of the 70s. Britt Ekland was everywhere, magazine covers, red carpets, scandal headlines. Today, she's a fierce advocate for natural aging, completely owning who she is, and staying very much present on the London social scene. She matched Bond move for move, look for look, but the most unbelievable chapter of Barbara Bach's life didn't happen on screen. Shortly after this film, she met Ringo Starr. They fell in love, they got married, and they are still together today. Bond went to space, and so did she. Lois Chiles played an actual rocket scientist, and she brought a cool, intelligent energy that stood out in the entire franchise. After Hollywood, she made a move nobody expected. She went into academia, teaching film and acting at major universities. The girl with the crossbow, Carole Bouquet, had a look that didn't just stop traffic, it stopped time. After Bond, Chanel came calling. She became the face of Chanel No. 5 for over a decade. A Bond girl who became a global fashion icon. No one else has done this. No one. Maud Adams is the only actress in Bond history to play two completely different lead roles in the franchise. She came back, she owned it, and the fans never forgot. She's still a beloved regular at Bond conventions to this day, because legends don't retire. Charlie's Angels, Bond girl. And then that 70s show. Tanya Roberts had one of the most unexpected career arcs in Hollywood. After lighting up the 1980s as one of the most recognizable faces on screen, she pivoted completely and introduced herself to an entirely new generation as Midge Pinciotti. One career, multiple lifetimes. The cellist who stole Bond's heart. But what Maryam did after her Bond film is what really sets her apart. She was so passionate about the women of this franchise that she produced her own documentary, going behind the scenes, tracking down the other Bond girls, telling their stories, not just a Bond girl, a Bond historian. Short hair, sharp attitude, zero tolerance for nonsense. Carey Lowell brought something different to the franchise, a toughness that felt completely authentic, and after Bond, she traded the spy world for the courtroom. She played Jamie Ross on Law and Order for years, and she was just as fierce. Before Bond, she was already a star. Izabella Scorupco was a major pop star in Sweden before she ever stepped in front of a spy camera. She brought that same star power to GoldenEye and then kept building an impressive career across European cinema. Her screen time was short. Her impact was not. Teri Hatcher appeared briefly in GoldenEye, but she was already on her way to something much bigger. She went on to become one of the highest-paid women on television as a lead in Desperate Housewives, a Bond girl, and a TV legend. Double threat. Denise Richards played a nuclear physicist named Christmas Jones. The casting was controversial. The name was something, but love it or hate it, she remains one of the most talked-about Bond girls in franchise history, and in this world, attention is everything. The Oscar winner, the action star, the almost franchise, Halle Berry's Jinx was so electric that the studio seriously discussed giving her a solo spin-off film. It never happened. But the fact that it was even on the table, that tells you everything. She's still one of Hollywood's biggest names, and she's not slowing down. Some Bond girls are memorable. Vesper Lynd is unforgettable. Eva Green delivered a performance so layered, so emotionally devastating, that fans still argue she's the only woman James Bond ever truly loved. In a franchise built on formula, she broke every single rule, and it made Casino Royale one of the greatest Bond films ever made. Camille was different from the start. No romance, no seduction, just revenge, cold, focused, and personal. It was a bold choice, and Olga Kurylenko owned every second of it. This role launched her into a massive international career, and she hasn't looked back since. Séverine only had a few scenes, but she left a mark that never faded. Bérénice Marlohe brought a haunting, fragile, tragic beauty to Skyfall that felt like a direct tribute to the Bond girls of the 1960s. Léa Seydoux is the first woman to serve as the primary romantic lead in 2 consecutive Bond films. And she didn't just show up twice, she brought genuine emotional depth to the final chapter of the Craig era, giving Bond something he'd never quite had before, a love story that actually mattered. 10 minutes of screen time, and somehow, Ana de Armas became the most talked about part of the entire film. She was electric, she was hilarious, she was unstoppable, and today she might be the most famous woman on this entire list, from 10 minutes in a Bond film to one of the biggest stars on the planet. That's how you make an entrance. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.